Hey everybody, Ozark coming here. So there's been a water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. There's been a lot of flooding. As a result, the already decrepit water system there became the water became nasty, undrinkable. Very sad situation for the locals there. But their local government has basically messed them over and let the water system fall apart. So who does CNN blame for this? Well, let's see who the supposed expert they bring on. Are they going to bring on a city engineer? Are they going to bring on people who are experts at allocating funds, etc.? Well, let's see.
Welcome Sherelle Barber. She's a social epidemiologist and director of the Ubuntu Center on Racism, Global Movements, and Population Health Equity at Drexel University. And she
So, health equity, racism expert, social sciences. Again, no engineers, no local government experts. So, again, let's see who they're going to blame for this problem in Jackson, Mississippi.
from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for being here with us. So you were in Jackson doing some research on this problem, even as someone
Kinds of infrastructure issues that are we're seeing in Jackson, are happening in other parts of the country as well. And it's due to these, long-term, long-standing issues of systematic disinvestment, structural racism that has literally neglected cities, neglected infrastructure, neglected, all of these systems that
Okay, so since she was going off on a tangent and that was edited down, he basically has to step in and help her out here because she is not very good at even holding a narrative with, pre written stuff for her. So he basically has to help her out here with what they brought her on to say.
1980, the city changed from majority white to majority black. And it's worth noting that just a few miles away in the majority white suburb of Madison, the water never stopped flowing. So, what role do you think race played in what led to the
Oh, she's giddy. Oh, thank you for bringing it up. So a few miles away in a predominantly white neighborhood, theirs is working just fine. And Jackson, keep in mind, he said it went from 1980 from majority white to majority black. Everybody knows why. We're gonna stand here and pretend that it's not because it got so dangerous. White people can't walk outside their homes. I experienced this when I was a kid. That you can't be out on the street. That it's basically no go zones for us. We were run out of our own cities and towns because of the extreme danger. And now, look at this. We get to take the blame still after we were run out of the cities, after we are continuing to take care of our stuff. We get to take the blame for them letting the cities fall apart.
water crisis and the response from the state and federal governments?
Absolutely. So yeah, so that is exactly right. Now, I was again just there, just in parts of Jackson, but also North Jackson. And you're absolutely right. But I don't think it's just race. I think it's racism, right? It's systemic and structural racism. It's neglect. And in Jackson in particular, what we have is the literal disinvestment from the state government to a city that is majority Black, that has seen both a decline in population, a decline in tax base, which limits resources, and so
A decline in tax base because, again, people had to leave. So, because the people paying the taxes left and you're not paying for it anymore, and you can't say that big cities are not getting investments, not being given investment. They're given more financially than any other places. Their schools are given more per student than any other, and they are still failing. No matter how much finances you allocate, they literally allowed it to fall apart. And here's the ironic thing while she's standing here blaming the white man for this, they're literally delivering water. People who volunteer are giving water and helping these people while this woman is standing there blaming them because of the color of their skin for the problems of the people in Jackson, Mississippi.
Happening in Jackson, I mean, it was extreme, but it's far from alone, right? How extensive is this problem across the country?
Okay, so now again, basically, she's having to hold her hand through this interview. Um, And now he's saying, oh, but this is a nationwide problem, correct? And then she's nodding her head, oh, yeah, this is what we talked about.
Again, it's you have to look at this from a perspective of the urban areas across the country. I live in Philadelphia, for example. This investment in Black and Brown communities is a pretty standard hallmark of our urban areas, and this comes from eroding tax bases. It comes from
So she just admitted right there, eroding tax bases. In other words, white people were forced to leave because of the high crime, and then she's mad that they're not paying for it anymore.
resources being siphoned out
It's siphoned. Siphoned is not a word.
of cities into suburban areas, right?
Well, typically when people move and take their tax base with them, yeah, they also invest resources into their communities. And again, we were pretty much forced out. Not really much choice in the matter when it's, life or death when you get off in the wrong spot on the highway and it can cost you your life. And then again, we get to take the blame for it. And this, instead of what? Engineers, people to help, like the people you actually saw in uniform there, delivering water to help these people. Instead, we get to pay for this, to get blamed for the problem. If you don't see what the bigger problem is here, then you better start waking up to it. And you better start calling it out for what it is, because Republicans are basically losing any credulity while we stand here and take the blame for everybody's problems, and it is not going to lead anywhere good. This is Ozark Elman. Y'all have a good one.